So that's why we return at the end 0. So if we are going to here to return an integer, so the return type here is going to be integer. If we are going to return a character, then the return type here, it should be a character and so on. Then after the return type, we have the name of the function. So this is the name, what we want to call the function. So in C++, always we have one main function where the program is going to start. But then if we are going to create our user-defined function, we can use any name we want that just meet the name requirement. And then after the name of the function, you get open the bracket and closing the bracket. And then in here, you pass what we call it as parameters. So here, you pass parameters. Now, this is empty. It does not have any parameter. So after that, you open the curly bracket and close the curly bracket. And here, it's called the definition or the body of the function. So within the open curly bracket and the close curly bracket, here we write our all set of instructions. So this is the definition of the function or the body of the function. So all the functions that we have used so far, the power, the square root, sorry. Okay, sorry. Going back, as I said, to our function, all the functions that we have used before, the square root, the power, the is upper, the is digit, all of them, their definition that are stored in this CMath library, they look like this, okay? So, for example, in double, the power, it will look like this, double, okay, because one of them, they return a double data type, then the name of the function, that is power. Then here we have parameters, which actually, both of them of double data type, for example, x, and then double y. And this should return a double data type. And then here the set of instructions. Okay, there will be so many instructions that identify how this function is going to work. So each one of the predefined function you are just calling, they already have a certain definition. This definition is stored in this library. So it has certain definition and set of code, which is stored in CMath. We don't have to do anything. The definition exists. We only have to call it. So whenever we need to use this function, power, or any of the predefined function, here all we have to do is just include that library where they are defined, and then call them by their name. So their name, for example, pow, and then pass the proper parameter, for example, 2, 3, and that's it. This is how we call a function. This is called calling a function. So the definition, the total definition of this predefined function are stored in the header file, but here we only have to call them, call the name of the function, pass the proper parameters, and this is called calling the function. Okay, and because it returns some value, so we are going to need another variable to hold the value that is going to be returned from pow. Okay, so pow, we are going to pass two parameters. Why? Because in their definition they have two parameters, and it's going to return a double. So we need to create a double variable that is going to carry or going to have the value that is going to be returned by pow. Okay, so this is how we basically call a predefined function. So let's go again here. As I said before, whenever we need to create a function, but this is, I will come later, or a function, how does it look like, their definition? It should have a return type. Okay, it should have a return type. Okay, then it should have a name, then open bracket, close bracket. Then we have parameters. So we have parameter 1, we have parameter 2, we have parameter 3, all separated by a normal comma and so on. Then we have a normal curly bracket and a closing bracket. And here we have the definition of the function. Definition of the function, it means how this function is going to work. So all functions should look like this. Return type, the name of the functions, parameters, how much ever parameters are there. Then in the body of the function, we have the definition or the set of instructions that will explain how these functions work. Okay, so the function has certain types. Okay, we have first a function that we call it it return value, a function that return value, and a function that return value and have parameters. Okay, this is the first type, a function that return a value and have parameters. So what is the meaning of this function? So it return a value, it have a value return type. For example, it returns double. Okay, and then for example, this is the name of the function, name1. Okay, and it has some parameters. For example, and each parameter, of course, should have a data type. For example, it takes an integer, okay, and it takes, for example, a float. Okay, so this is called as a function that return a value, and it has some parameters. Okay, and then the second type is the function that return a value, okay, but does not have parameters. So the function that return a value and does not have parameters, how would it look like? It will look also similar to this, but the parameter side is going to be empty. Okay, so the parameter side is going to be empty. So here it returns some value, double or any value, the name of the function, but it does not have any parameters. Then we have the third type of functions, are function that does not return value, okay, it does not return any value, okay, but has parameters. So does not return any value but has parameters. So when a function does not return any value, we call it as void. Okay, we identify it usually by void. Void, it means it does not return any value. Then the name of the function, okay, and has parameters. For example, again, int, x, or anything. So it does not return a value, but it has parameter. The fourth type and the last type is a function that does not return value, at the same time does not have parameters. Okay, this one, how does it look like? It will start with void, okay, because it does not return any value. It's going to start with void, and then also the parameter is going to be empty. Okay, so this is the different four type of function. Return a value, which can be of any value type, double, integer, character, string, any type. It has also parameters, can be 1, 2, 3, any number of parameters. The second one, it return a value and it does not have parameters. It does not return a value, and in this case we identify it as void, and it has parameters. It can be any number of parameters, and then does not return value and does not have parameters, which is start with void, okay, and the name and it does not have any parameters. So I would like to ask you, and our question here, main function, which type of the for? Okay, our main function in here, int main, which type of the for? Okay, 1, 2, 3, or 4, our main function. Of course, our main function in this program, because also main function can be written in a different way. So our main function in this program, is it return value and has parameters? Is it return value does not have parameters? Is it does not return value has parameters, or does not return value does not have parameters? Which one? 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you provide the answer in the chat? Okay, sorry, my call was dropped. Okay, let me check. Okay. Okay, so we have second and we have fourth. What about the first? What about the others? Okay, you can see here. Okay, we have int. What about the others? You can see here int main and this. Okay, and you have this is the different type. Return value has parameter, return value does not have parameter, does not return value has parameter. How about the others? Are you there? Adib, Anwar, she, Christian, Mary, Muhammad Isli, Muhammad Ayman, Muhammad Kamil, Muhammad Nabil, Noor Fatiha, Shahira Sharifa. Yes, I need your answer. Okay. Okay. I'm going to display this for you again. How about the others? I need the answer also from the others. Are you sleeping or you are shy to answer? Okay, very well. Thank you, everyone. I hope the others are with us. I hope the others are not sleeping at this time. Okay. Okay, very well. Thank you for all your answers. So if you can see here, our int, okay, let's copy it and see. So int here, We have int and we have it says it return. So it should return a value. So it's whether 1 or whether 2. Okay. So if you have your main function like this without any parameters in the middle, then it is of the second data type. It should return value but does not have parameter. Then some of you might have main function which has some parameters here. Some of you might have some parameter here in your main function. Okay, so in this case it's going to be 1. So also main function, we write it in so many ways. So if it is like this, int main, and it is empty, okay, like the one I have here in my compiler, int main, and it is empty, like this. So this is actually is going to be of the second data type that return a value and does not have parameter. If your main function having like this here, some parameters, some compilers will call main function with some parameters here. So in that case, it's going to be 1. It means it return a value, which is int, okay? And then it has parameters, which is, for example, string s or any parameter you have it here. And also sometimes, by the way, we can write the main function like this. We can also write it like this, void. Okay, so if we write it void, in that case, we don't have to return any value. So we can just leave it empty. Okay, so if we write it like this, it's going to be does not return value and does not have parameters. Sometimes you can write it with void main and pass here some values. Okay, you can find main function in different ways. So in this case, you will find it does not return a value and has parameters. Anyway, for my compiler here, or our program, is the second type, which return a value and has a parameter. So I hope is it clear the different type of function. So from the function you have used, the 4 functions you have used, I want you to tell me, or just let me discuss with you. Here we have used 4 function, that is round, power, is upper and is digit. Okay, so if we come to round, okay, the round, you can see round function, it takes parameter. Okay, it takes parameter which we pass here some number, and it returns a value. So if we come to our program, let's go back to our code. Okay, so let's check here round. So round here, it takes a parameter, which is 1 parameter, okay, and it returns a value. Why it returns a value? Because we made x equal to round. It means whatever value is going to be sent by round is going to be saved as x. So round is of type, it returns a value and it has a parameter. So same thing go to power. It has parameters, which is 2 parameters, and it returns a value. Okay, and then same thing goes for is alpha, is upper, is digit. So all of them, they have parameter, which you can see within the brackets, and it returns a value, which is a Boolean type. So it's going to return true or false. So it means these all functions that we have, the 4 functions, they are they return a value and they have a parameter. Okay, so if we come, as I said, to main here, it return a value, but it does not have a parameter. You have one more functions, for example, you have used before, that is for output. If you can remember, you have set precision, okay, in IO-manip, or set W, okay. You have in, where is it, hash include, okay, hash include. IO-manip. If you can recall, we have a function that is called set W. So set W actually will take a parameter, but it will not return any value because it's going to just affect the output directly. So set W is one example of the function that take a parameter but does not return a value. Okay, it takes a parameter but does not return the value because it will just directly affect the output. It will make changes to the output, it will not return any value. So this is the different type of functions. So as I said before, we have two types. We have predefined functions, which is our topic today. So predefined, it means the definition already exists in C++. We just have to call them and use them. So whenever we call a function, we just have to call the name of the function and pass the parameters if they have parameters. And if they return a value, we have to carry that value or hold that value in some other variable. Okay, so this is called the calling of the function. Then in our next class, we are going to learn about user-defined function. User-defined functions are functions that you are going to write their definition. You as a programmer, you are going to create those functions, write how they are going to work, and then use them. You can yourself use them. You can give them to others to use them. So all of them are called user-defined function. So this is in brief regarding functions. Before we proceed to our activity,